Today we're going to begin practicing the skill of classifying rational numbers. But before we can do that, we have to review different types of numbers. This is one way numbers can be displayed on a vertical number line. We're going to learn here shortly that this number line is showing integers. There is also the possibility that number lines can be horizontal. This one is also showing integers. So here are the types of numbers that are going to be important for us to understand. 0 is in a category by itself. It's neither positive or negative. 0 is 0. Then there are whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. So let's first discuss whole numbers. Whole numbers include every positive counting or natural number you learned when you first learned to count. We all started from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they go on forever and ever, and they increase in value as you move to the right. But whole numbers also include one number that is not positive, and that is 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. So whole numbers are all the positive numbers, including 0, and they go up infinitely forever. It's important to remember that whole numbers will never be parts. There are no fractions and no decimals as part of whole numbers. There are also no negatives that can be whole numbers. The next category includes whole numbers. So whole numbers are also integers. But integers will include 0, all of the whole numbers, but it also includes their opposites. So we have 0, which is a whole number. We have the number 1, and then we have the opposite of number 1, negative 1. 2, the opposite, negative 2. Now, just like the positive whole numbers go on forever to the right and they increase in value, the opposites of the whole numbers will go on forever in the opposite direction, but instead of increasing in value, they will decrease in value as they move forever to the left. It is also important to remember that though they will include negative numbers, integers cannot be fractions or decimals. Finally, rational numbers. Rational numbers will include whole numbers, and it does also include integers. Rational numbers are anything that can be written as fractions. So all of the fractions are rational numbers. All of the decimals, which are special fractions, are rational numbers. But even whole numbers are rational because we could write a whole number like this. As you can see on this number line, 1 is a whole number, and that can be written as 10 over 10. It can be written as a fraction. 10 over 10 is equal to 1. 20 over 10, 20 tenths, is equivalent to 2. So whole numbers are rational, but so are integers because negative 20 divided by 10 is negative 2. So negative 2 can also be written as a fraction, so it is also a rational number. Rational numbers can be written as fractions. This includes whole numbers and their parts. So mixed numbers are also going to be rational numbers. 2 and 1/10, 2 and 3/10, all of these are rational numbers. Every whole number can be a rational number. Every integer can be a rational number. The only thing that cannot be rational is 0 as the denominator. You can't divide anything by the number 0. It is undefined. Now, there are such things as irrational numbers, and these are numbers that will go on forever without a pattern, and so therefore they can't be written as a fraction. And one very popular irrational number is pi, but also the square root of 2 is an irrational number. So we are only going to deal with rational numbers this year in 6th grade. And as you can see, counting numbers are rational. But whole numbers, which includes the number 0 and all of the counting numbers, are also rational. Integers, which includes all of the whole numbers, 0 and every natural counting number, are also rational numbers. And then rational numbers can also include decimals and fractions. Okay, let's open up your textbook to page 70, and we are going to continue this practice. Okay, so on page 70, we see another of these Venn diagrams that show that whole numbers and integers are rational numbers, but whole numbers do not include negative numbers. Integers will include all of the whole numbers plus negative numbers, but do not include decimals or fractions. Rational numbers include all whole numbers, all integers, but also decimals and fractions. This next section is a review of fractions and saying that some of them can be repeating, like 0.833333 forever. That's a repeating fraction. Some decimals are terminating, which means that they stop. And that can include negative fractions and negative decimals as well. Okay. So this is an example of things we've already been practicing. If we turn 5/12 into a decimal, you would write 5 and then add a decimal and all of the zeros needed to continue dividing until it stops. As you notice here, this will never stop. It'll keep being 666 forever. So they show you that you would note that by putting a line over the number 6, because it's 0.416666 forever. 6666, on and on and on. Okay. All right, so let's practice. Okay, please divide 1 by the number 6 and then tell me what is going to be your quotient. It might be a repeating decimal. If so, please stop after you notice that. Okay, when we set this up, 6 divided into 1, we would add a decimal and the 0 to find the equivalent, 1 and 0/10. 6 cannot be subtracted from 1, so we're going to put a 0 here. But 6 can go into 10 one time. So we're going to subtract the number 6, bring down the 0 after we add a 0 up here, and then 6 times 6 is 36. Subtract that. We have a 4, add a 0, put a 0 down here, and you'll notice that this will never, never, never stop. So the answer that you should have said was 1 and 6/10 repeating. I know you can't do the little line on top, but that's fine. All right, so when we come down here to these examples, we're just going to kind of talk through this. Is negative number, we want to put the negative number 7 in the appropriate circle. Whole numbers can never be negative. So what I need you to do right now is to write -7 with the integers, because integers can be negative. Positive number 5. Okay, that is a rational number, and it is an integer, but 5 can be a whole number, so we're going to put the number 5 in the middle circle. Then we have the fraction. Whole numbers can never be fractions. Integers can never be fractions, so rational numbers should be the category for 3/7. 36/100 repeating negative cannot be a whole number. It can't be an integer, so that's also going to be in the rational number category. Now, I want you guys to do these last 3 on your own. Which category would -4 and 8/10 go in? Go ahead and answer that for me, please. Okay, because it is negative, it can't be a whole number. Because it is fractional, it has the fraction 0.8/8 in it, it can't be an integer. So if you said rational number, you are correct. So we're going to put that in the rational number category. What about -31? Answer that, please. -31 cannot be a whole number because it is negative. So the category that will be in is integers. And then 2 and 9 2/9. It's not negative, but it's also not a whole number because it is a fraction. It's not an integer because it's a fraction. Integers cannot be fractions. So 2/9 you should have said is a rational number. Okay. My pen. Thank you. Okay, so I appreciate you guys taking notes, and we're going to do some guided practice to help ourselves remember all of the definitions of the types of numbers that we need to know. Thank you.